Hi, my name is Lisa Mailley, and this is my inquiry question to go along with my lesson plan. As a middle school and high school English teacher, I am faced with the daily challenge of how to motivate independent reading and promote the self-discipline needed to support silent sustained reading. Programs such as SparkNotes and other software-based technology provide students with an on-the-spot summary of plot, characterization, and theme. So my question is, how do I teach the skills and value of silent sustained reading to students whose literary comprehension is highly influenced by technology-based applications? So this is what I've done. I've kind of created this PowerPoint. So the context is high school grade 9 independent reading response. The purpose of my lesson is to demonstrate the value of silent sustained reading. The goal is to use student interest to generate intrinsic motivation and engagement in reading and response. The objective is sustained independent reading, construct meaning of reading, develop and post aesthetic response to class blogs. What I have my students doing in this lesson is, when this PowerPoint, which will be presented to the classroom, step one is when they came into the room, we would be working on a book called The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon, and they would be instructed to read silently pages 10 to 15. And today's blog would be the topic of imagery. And then underneath of that, I would present, see if I can zoom in here. I would provide them with a brief explanation, a reminder once again what imagery is the author's use of details such as adjectives and nouns used to create a visual and sensual image in the mind of the reader. So what the students would have to do is they would have to read silently those pages and then use their laptops and create a classroom blog which was already set up. The students already would have instructions on how to use the blog. For those students who read a little bit faster than the rest of the class, step 2 on the board here would be what they would do next. If they finished step 1 early, they would go to step 2. Step 2 is they would revisit the homework blog, which is everything worth reading. They would read and respond to their classmates' posting and update their posting. So let me switch here to this screen is what they would be working on. This is the Everything Worth Reading blog spot, and they would already be doing this for at least a week prior to actually starting the novel. So what they would be doing, it's an ongoing homework assignment. They would create 5 blog posts per week. They would count towards their class participation grade, and the purpose of the blog is for you to post daily all sources of reading you encounter during your day. So what the students would need to consider is print size and ink color, content, where it originated, who was the designer, and the comprehension of what they were reading. And then they would have to ask questions. So what I would have them concentrate on is anything, whether you're going shoe shopping and you're reading the box or reading the receipt from the shoes that you purchased, whether you're reading a comic book or the newspaper or whatever print that they come in contact with, whatever reading they do on a daily basis, I want them to think a little bit deeper about what they're reading. So on the right hand side here is I've given them an example of what this blog would look like. So for instance, the student's name is Bob. His source of what he read, which was his everyday worth reading, was the Reese's Puff cereal box. And this is what he wrote in his post. It says, "The other day I was eating Reese's Puffs for breakfast and I knew I needed to blog for this week. So I started to read. Really read the cereal box. On the back of the box, I read a thing called Mix Master. What you had to do was create your own DJ name and then write your own rap song about the cereal. I am not really sure why someone would want to do this, but hey, some little kid might like it. Funny thing was, it had the rap on the back of the box, so all you had to do was fill in the blank from a list of words. So each blank line was numbered, so you had to pick from that column. Kind of cool, actually. Okay, so I did it. Couple words that I didn't get were vernacular. Is that really a word? Guess I'll have to look that up when I get the chance. Oh, and raver was in the, what is raver? It was in the column with flavor and savor and craver. Who comes up with this stuff? So this is an example of what I would be considering to be a homework blog from a student. it would be something in that category. And so they've already been doing this assignment for the week, so they're pretty well aware of how to blog. So when they come in and we go back to this step 1 where they're reading The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, they are reading the text, and in this case they're looking for examples of imagery. And once they find it, then they're going to go and use the same guidelines as they've been using with the homework, Everything Worth Reading assignment, to respond to The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. So they're going to look for text. They're going to look, why did the author use this kind of text? Why is the chapter set up like this? Why are the words that big? Why did the author use to, in this particular pages, the child, the main character in the story, was outside at nighttime, and he discovers this dog who is dead in someone's backyard because there's a pitchfork through the dog. So why did the author use nighttime? Why was it the neighbor's yard? Why was this child, the main character, out in midnight? What words did the author use to describe the setting? I want the students to focus on that for the day. After they're done this silent reading, they post their blog. Once everyone in the class has done posting their blog, then I would bring them up on the screen and we would talk about it. We would bring up a few examples. We would look at the classroom's comments and their questions regarding these 5 pages that they read, and then we would either continue reading or we would continue the discussion based on those, depending on how it goes. It could be blogs that last the entire period. It could be blogs that are very short. It's based on the content of the pages that they are reading. If the blogs are short, then of course we continue reading together as a class, or we revisit the different parts that they did read silently to make sure the comprehension was intact. So this is my lesson. It is a blog-based format based on independent reading and response. And it kind of, like I said, has 2 different parts to it. The first part was the pre-assignment that they did, the Everything Worth Reading, which they've been working on for a whole week, which then leads up to this silent reading in the classroom. And my goal, once again, was to, go back to my goal, to use interest to generate intrinsic motivation and engagement in reading response. So I'm hoping that this homework assignment, where they start to really look at things that they're reading, instead of just reading it, they're actually starting to analyze what they're reading. What was the purpose behind this? Why did this person do this? Why did the author do that? Why does my receipt for McDonald's looks like this? I want them to start being more engaged in their reading and being engaged in what they see every day. So when they're given a novel or a short story or whatever else they need to read, they can look at it with a little bit more in-depth scope and knowledge. So that is my lesson. And again, my inquiry question was based on, how do I compete? How do I compete with technology-based applications where they give you all of the answers to all of the questions that could possibly be asked, the character, the setting, the plot, the possible themes to the story? How do I compete with applications that give them all that answers when I want them to look a little bit deeper and I want them to really read the story? So I'm hoping by doing this lesson and giving them these 2 parts that perhaps it would engage them and motivate them and interest them to read and read things that are worth reading. Okay, thank you.